second draft of the day. Remember, folks, no more Fearless Draft. It is standard drafting now. Anything played in the first game is still available, as opposed to what happened in the group stage, where that was different. EDG taking a very different approach to what's happening here in the red side, banning away a lot of AD carries on the red side. Aphelios and Ezreal both being removed very, very early into the draft. We do have Corki, Tristana still left available. That does mean likely one of them first picked. EDG, do you really want to ban away either of them? No, they banned the Rumble instead. Obviously, it looks like either maybe Ashe or Tristana is first pick. Because it's Fofo, I'd always support picking up that Tristana. EDG left to pick up the remainders of the AD matchup. You assume that it's going to be the Corki response. So it's a flip of the mid lane matchup that we saw in that first game. And then we'll have to see what also they answer with after that point. Other power picks available. Again, we mentioned that Ashe. There are some of the AP farming junglers as well. For JJ, typically we want to see him on stuff which can impact the game very early, but also has some of that engaged potential later on. The Lilia did feel like it was pretty good for him. Changing things up, though. Last game, Leave really struggled to reposition in the fight. If you have a jungler, an AD carry rather, that allows you to reposition without using summoner spells like the Kai'Sa ult, maybe that changes things for them. So, very different draft coming in from EDG already. Kai'Sa and Zyra. It's not JJ on something which can impact the game as early. It's not something which is the big teamfight initiator either, so that is a bit of a worry, but maybe this is just better for Leave. On the other side, Abel also gets himself a repositioning AD carry in that Zeri. Zeri, Kai'Sa, both very, very good AD carries are kind of working their way around fights, either with movement speed and the E with the dash over the wall from the Zeri, or just the ult from that Kai'Sa on the other side. Very mobile carries on both sides. You can imagine the Corki is going to come in on 3 for Cryan. Would make a lot of sense. Whereas Yang Xian takes the brand, the Zyra is taken away, locks in that brand instead. So we still have AP mid, AP jungle, AD mid for both teams, and that Corki on 3, exactly what we ended up predicting on that. Second round of the draft. No supports picked up again. This is something which happened through into first draft of the day. This game, though, there's not going to be the top lane picked up for blue side before the second round picks as well. So all of the picks have been matched, which means that you don't get yourself like an easy counter pick coming in on pick 4 from EDG. They could have been able to do that if that were the case, which means that maybe you start banning away some blind picks as WE. They're banning away that Gnar, which has come up into priority somewhat. Don't necessarily think it's worth a ban, but hey, we have seen a lot of priority on it, and sometimes you just ban away stuff you know that the enemy team thinks is valuable. Can be worth it in that own sense. Alice, the big engage options taken away by EDG. They'll maybe like it looking for a Nautilus 4th pick at this point, which would be, of course, banned away by WE. So what else have we got in terms of engage? Nautilus, Leona, Alistair, Rel, all of them are gone. Really, really hard to find yourself those big engages now. With AD carries locked in too, it's not really like you can get yourself an Ashe. Rakan is the last remaining engage option. What else have you got? It's really, really hard to find yourself ways into fights. WE, they don't have big engage. The Renekton's okay there. And they go towards Maokai support because everything else is off the table. That's how much our engaged champions have been stripped away from this draft. Mark going towards something which we saw an awful lot of in spring and throughout 2023 as well, but not really been seen nearly as much. EDG, they've also found themselves their engage option in the Rakan. One thing which is going to become quite apparent in this kind of draft, though, is the fact that there is only one thing which is engaging for either side, and it makes it really easy to counter it. So if Maokai throws his ult out, one of the things which you can do with the Cassandra is just stand in front of it, you press W. That can stop the engage. On the other side, the Rakan's going in, but yes, the Rakan can get engages. He's not that tanky when it comes to this class of champion right now. Like, he can get blown up by the likes of the Brand if he gets a good combo onto him, the Tristana getting to bust shot it out. I think the team fights in this game is going to be really, really quite difficult to execute on, just because those engaging champions are going to find it really, really hard to play their job. I think this draft, with all of those engaged options taken away, has left ourselves with some very different compositions compared to that first game. I think Leave being on something which can reposition really helps him. He struggled in that first game, and he's, let's be honest, struggled throughout most of this summer. JJ on the Zyra, not something which I necessarily like on the other side. And Shen, I don't know whether I like this brand or not, because this is something we will just have to see. He has got himself the MVP from that first game, gets himself that game 1 of the LPL, 100% MVP rate for his LPL tenure so far, goes on towards the brand now, very different AP jungle as he tries to keep up the pressure. Onto JJ, one of the greatest junglers that the LPL has ever seen. It's not an easy debut, but then again, how else are you going to earn your stripes? Getting towards that game 2. Closer and closer. Down here in the Nirvana group, the losing teams from their groups playoffs in this stage for a last chance at survival to potentially get themselves a playoff spot. So we head ourselves back onto the Rift. Well, I was just waiting about to see if we'd get myself in Gyos. Do we have them back in there? Well, if there are gyros in the background, I can't hear them, so there we go. Back onto the Rift. And Xi'an, it's WE's home arena. They won that first game, and it looked pretty good. EDG looking towards this Zyra now to see if they can find themselves a bit of a different flavor of success from the jungle. JJ really felt like he was the star of that game 1, even in the losing game for his team at least. What we've typically seen about Zyra is that sometimes you can invade and go in for a level 1 kind of disruption of those plans, but hasn't really been something we've seen consistently outside of, I mean, Fun plus Phoenix, they really like to do it. Not every team looks towards that in the same way. WE, they don't really have themselves a strong level 1, so they couldn't do that all the same. So we're expecting JJ to get himself that fast Zyra clear again. Last game, Yan Xian had himself a 254 clear. So folks, if you want to keep an eye on that timer, let's see whether he can do anything similar to that one. He loses 1 plant there at the start. You do sometimes want to tank up some of the damage so your plants can survive and can keep DPSing. JJ, we will keep very close eyes on that to see whether they can get themselves a quicker clear than Yang Shen in that first game. Hey, Mazel, how's it going?
Does this World Championship give him any buffer room, any handicap? Taking time away from him, add time?
You know what, that's a great question. So, all I'm thinking of is, look, 2 minutes 54, that's the time to beat. I want to see whether we can do it. This is what look, if it's Zyra, you're not going to get early ganks. The thing which we get excited for is how quickly is he going to clear?
He better get a move on. We are going to actually get a little bit of a move on in bottom side as well as they follow up with the Plasm stacks there onto Mark.
So, one of the big things I was talking about coming through draft is that so many engaged supports got banned that we ended up with Rakan and Maokai, which is not really our first string. So we'll have to check that one as too. But of course, the most important thing No, go back to the Zyra. I want to see how fast they're clearing. Currently at 240. Can they get it in the next 15 seconds? I think they might just be behind it, you know. We'll have to see on that one. But all the same.
All right. Use your mind. Paint the picture. Is he taking it? Is it in time?
He's on 22. He needs to get to 24. He's just slower.
Oh my God.
Yang Shen wins out. He wins out in the Zyra Jungle Clear Olympics, and he gets himself, what, like, I think it was 256 or something like that from JJ across his full play. He's still really quick and can still get into mid lane.
But if he gets the kill, I was gonna say maybe he gets the first gank that Yang Sheng didn't get last time around. Doesn't get that one either. But does cross map over towards bot side now, where he does have an angle if he wants to go for a deep collapse.
Yeah, it really reminds me of you remember the heyday of Olaf jungle, where in about, I don't know, season 7, season 6, 7, 8, that kind of time, where what you would do at that point is you would clear 30 seconds quicker than every other champion, which meant you'd have 30 seconds to just do something on the map. You can respond to things, you can make your own plays. Same kind of thing with the Zyra, where, you know, neither of those champions have great gank pressure, but if you do just walk into a lane 30 seconds earlier than your opponents can do, you can just make things happen which no one else can do. So JJ doesn't manage to find anything this time, but still, that's kind of the power of the Zyra in its own way. We're not really seeing any big moves elsewhere. Of course, the Yang Shen also on an AP farming jungle are not really going to be contributing a huge amount to the early ganks either. He also goes back to his Fate as Ashes. I just need you to look after this for just 1 minute. I need to grab something from the other room. I'll be back with you.
And I'm starting to see both junglers kind of pinging down towards this bottom side. I'm wondering if they actually want to go for an on-spawn style setup around the dragon here, because I do expect, yeah, okay. So we see actually JJ just going back towards a reset potentially. They do have a weird lane state down here in regard of who's going to get a little bit more of that priority. Both junglers just deciding no proactivity. The Wayward is going to be pushed under turret there by solo kill in the end. Does end up almost going down.
I'm glad nothing too interesting happened while I was grabbing some caffeine from the other room. Look, some of these early
we
games...
almost had something happen.
Well, you know, they knew I wasn't here, so they knew they just have to lay off. Just
Both junglers realized they could just go farm again.
Yeah. You know what? This might be a good time. Wait, no, it's not a good time for a conversation.
Nope.
JJ, that's a slice and dice available. If you use it on that last minion, you should be able to get out fine. Yeah, he's fine. All right, cool. Good ward from him there. I think it might be worth the conversation at some point to talk about. You know, we have the Nidalee pass within LPL, where certain players get the ability to play Nidalee because they're good enough for it. Not many people get it. I wonder if we're getting to a similar point. We hold on to that thought.
Everybody
Abel
gets it. They're just not all verified. Abel, though, he's unverified in this one because he's just down and out. That is first blood over to EDG, and it goes over to Wink.
All right, okay, so that's a kill on that bot side. Abel gonna lose his cleanse, lose a minion or two to this tower as well, and it's some gold over to EDG. You know, that came out of really nowhere. We did say that the different supports being available, because so many of the engaged supports were banned, might change things in the game in the team fights, also changes things in the laning phase. One thing which I was going to talk about was completely on the other side, was in regards to the Renekton, because it feels like a lot of teams in the LPL have been playing the Renekton so far. Not many teams have been getting as much value out of it. I think that... Ooh, that's going to be close on the bomb. It's not going to kill completely. But when you've got players like 369... Bin, I think Breed's on there too, you can kind of justify it. Wayward has been really good at dunking down on other top laners. He was the gatekeeper top laner of Spring. That's kind of how we referred to him, because he was really good against the lower tier top laners. Couldn't quite match that against the top ones in the same way. But I'm interested to see who we can add to the list in regards to the Renekton too, because we've seen some good and some very non-impactful games at the same time from it.
Yeah, I've just always failed when players are willing to blind pick something like that all the time. It's actually hilarious to me. This is also another game that we get a trade of the early objectives outright. So 3 grubs did end up going to Team WE while we look at the bot lane play.
So, I mean, this is just Mark and Abel just disrespecting the damage coming through. Rakan early damage can sometimes catch you off guard, and yes, the cleanse was in for the ignite, but Abel gets hit by the W as well, gets hit by the Q, gets just mashed against the wall. So Abel, despite the fact that I do think this area is really, really strong in the meta right now, you can't really fall behind too far. It's not too far right now, of course it isn't. It's just like, it's only 100 gold behind right now, but need to just keep an eye on that. It's not the easiest game to play a Zeri into because you're outranged quite heavily, and you don't have the best engage options on your own team to pin people down in front of the Zeri, but it's just something to keep an eye on.
I think the team fight impact is going to be super important to think about. I still think there's so many cool little avenues for WE in front of objectives and things like that in terms of how they want to work around those. I think there are some really nice spacing tools in that poke that you'll have available for EDG again, kind of in some regards of what shades we saw in that game number 1. Now JJ will end up seeing an angry burning man in his bushes, and now he's gonna get the power class on him. We know one thing that plants hate, and it's fire, baby.
Wildfire in the jungle. Someone call the firefighters. Goes down very quickly. Fight on the bot side.
Uh-oh. Wink overextends himself a little bit. Lightning Crash will end up being used down there. The Flash did get burned by Wink.
All right, so 2v2 still has some action in it. And Jiangqian, you know what? Credit to this guy. Walks away with... Look, he gets the MVP from game 1. Did he deserve it necessarily? Look, I think Mark was really, really good. But all the same, Jiangqian had a strong game in game 1 against JJ, one of the better junglers we have in the LPL. Gets a solo kill in the enemy jungle. Oh, no, it wasn't a solo kill. It was a slight bit... Look, it's basically a solo kill in the enemy jungle as well. Onto his opposing number. I think Jiangqian, coming out of basically... Well, I'm not going to say out of nowhere. He was on the W Academy team with the likes of... Stay and Kadaya and Bulukaka, a lot of these LDL names which have gotten a fair amount of notoriety. But he wasn't necessarily the star on that roster. The fact that he's come in and had a solid first series in the LPL, that's quite interesting to see. I didn't think this was going to be a match, a change rather, that would immediately make a difference to WE, but it's been pretty good so far.
And every win matters, every game matters. A single round robin here. Determine if you can continue going on in the split. It's important to keep as much momentum as humanly possible as well.
You just missed a W onto a stationary target.
Don't worry.
We'll not talk about that one, shall we?
Leave is redeploying up towards topside here. A bit interesting, because you will have the eventual collapse of Wink coming up here, but maybe trying to get prepped up so that they can stop this grub again.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Need to see what else is happening across the map. Solokill will have his teleport just in time for it. He'll be up in very soon beyond this point, of course, for 10 minutes to get the Unleashed teleport, which means you can get across anywhere now. You can now target to... God, that's one of the things which I keep forgetting about. 10 minutes, you can now you can teleport to wards or any targetable ally effectively. Gosh, it feels like such a long time ago that was changed, but I still remember. I remember back when you could cancel teleports yourself and you could like halve the cooldown of it. That was cool. Not good for the game, but it was a very different time back then. We've had to nerf teleport an awful lot over time. Anyway, we'll see whether Solokill can get himself up towards this top side. Wayward doesn't have it himself. He'd have to walk his way to the play if he'd like to. And as it stands, not contesting, so EDG will just currently split the difference.
Which I think is... perfectly fine in some regards. If maybe W want to capitalize on moving into EDG. JJ is the focus right now. He strangled Thorns, but it's not going to hit anybody there in the end. Now it's Mark that's in trouble, though. EDG were the ones that collapsed. He had him in the first half there, apparently. Wayward's going to pop Dominus. Maybe it's his time to shine. He does get locked down, and EDG have a fine exit here through the top side. JJ ending up flashing over the wall. The lightning crash popped by Abel. Nothing else of it. There will be that trade in the end. Leave! He finds Abel. Not able to follow him up, though.
That seems like a bit of a wasted flash there from Leave. Weird fight all in all. WE, they are sort of slow to responding to that play. They still go for the fight afterwards, even though they end up losing Maokai very early on into it. EDG walk away without any of the grubs, but they do walk away with the extra kill. Really weird, just all in all. So it's going to end up being, what, 3 grubs a piece, and neither side getting themselves up towards the higher numbers. Mark starts with the Maokai ultimate. This is one of the big problems we have, though, which is both of the teams in this game have very limited engage, which means that the Stranglethorns, like it was there for JJ, ends up keeping someone out, because there's no follow-up engage after that one thing's gone down. And yeah, it's just really hard to stick to your targets. JJ, he can be such a disengaging menace beyond this point. He even flashes out and stops Abel getting his ultimate through there. It really does feel like that could be the story later into the game. I think with so little engaged, the Brand and the Zyra are going to be really hard to lock down, and they might just win the game by themselves.
That's what's so crazy to me is that I wanted to see a little bit more like kind of in-your-face style from JJ, but both of them perfectly fine to be on impactful later decision-making junglers now as well, since we haven't really gotten any big advantages super early here. Just about 1,000 gold, a little bit more so for WE so far.
And they do have that Tristana, but there's every chance they can put Fofo into a side lane where he can do things. Dragon is spawned. Big fight, Wink going in. Ooh.
It's a little bit dicey on that one. The Stranglethorn going to come back. There's the killer instinct from Leave, though, and Mark's now dead, too. Pyroclasm is doing work. They get the reset there for Fofo, and he's going to make it out alive as well. JJ, he's burning. Abel wants him, and lightning crashes him to death.
Abel really wanted that kill this time. Couldn't get it around the grubs. Gets it there. Wayward going to get himself a plate. The cost of a couple of turret shots. Crying is still here.
Yeah, he is. He's just trying to get some poke damage down. I'll try to maybe steal one of these with a rocket barrage. Abel's going to step over, say, they have vision. That's why. A little bit of poke, though, coming in. Leave crying.
Dude.
Do have that distance damage.
This whole game is just so strange. We've got all of these really frantic, split, back and forth fights. It feels like most of these team fights are just someone getting isolated in a 1v1 on the side of a fight. It's really, really hard to get organized front-to-back team fights when you don't have really good tank front lines at this point, when you don't have great engage. You know, Wink is the one engage tool, and he misses. Mark on the other side is the Maokai as well, but, you know, the short-range ultimate isn't that big. He ends up going down for his own engage. The engagers are at such high threat when they go in, it's really hard for them to kind of stick the landing after they make their initial entrance.
Yeah.
We're going to see, folks, we're going to see a lot more of this throughout the game. I don't really see how this changes that much. The Cassante being a frontline might change some things, but it's not going to be that much. I feel like these fights are going to be really hard to really stick to the right targets.
And I don't know if I would expect anything less than chaos between these two teams for this one. The opener for WE, the second series for EDG, already having come away with the victory earlier. And now, WE actually just going to start up the Rift Herald with no contest right now. They actually have moved. Okay. EDG say they want to make a play on a Wayward down here.
Do they?
Okay.
Can you really? I think it's like, okay, we'll teleport in, try and get the turret. Can they get that turret down? Of course, no turret plates left now because it's beyond 14 minutes. It's a full health beat. It's a full HP turret. Like, it's not even like you're getting that much there. It's Wing coming down, has ult, they have ignite. Okay, now they are making a play onto Wayward, but it feels like it's happened so slowly that Fofo gets advantage on the other side. It's not even like it's a fantastic cross map. He pulls out the emote, pops the Dominus, he knows what's coming.
We all know Wayward to be an emotive guy. Now he's going to have to emote his way to victory here. He clears the wave a little bit there, but does get locked down in the end by solo kill. They are taking a tier 2 in topside with a Rift Herald 2 for WE.
Well, that's exactly the thing. He ends up clearing the wave, which means they have to wait now for another wave to kill that turret. WE take a top lane inner turret. And EDG, their macro this series has just been really quite suspect. I think game 1, when JJ was on a more impactful early game pick, he could force plays in the side lane a lot easier with that Lilia. It's not nearly as easy to do that on the Zyra. His team fights might be more impactful just because of the amount of damage you can do from safety because of the lack of engage, but I really feel like giving up this much gold over to WE and particularly over to Fofo, who's now 2,500 gold up into Tristana, that ain't really what you want.
Not necessarily. Maybe in some parallel universes, maybe.
Could you imagine like interdimensional cable but for League, the parallel universe? So you've got like each TV channel is just each different TV channel is a different AD carry build. Maybe it's just a different Ezreal build.
There's no jungles.
Every lane is an AD carry now. You've got well at this point you pretty much can make a full team of AD carries. You can make we've seen like Zeri, Tristana, Lucian top at different points of the past, Vayne top, Graves, Kindred jungle, all of the different AD carries you got in mid lane right now, actual AD carries in bot lane, and then of course Ashe, Varus, Kalista support. It makes sense.
Solo kill TP down here, and WE were trying to make a play, so he immediately has to back off as they lose the outer tower here. Some more standing gold going to WE, and they find themselves 3,000 gold up now. And
most of that is all in the pockets of Fofo. They get another turret into the Tristana, and it's not the 6 grubs Tristana, but it is still Tristana with some grubs and the ability to just absolutely crap on towers. So Fofo is going to get ungodly fed. Crine finally gets himself to a turret up here, but it's not like WE can't defend this. They're moving up here in force. I do think that WE will just be able to defend that turret too. EDG behind on macro again.
Oh, wink. Does not end up getting CC'd down from Xiang, as EDG do take a brunt of damage as they try to move out on the map a little bit. There is an elephant in the room, and it's got wings, and it's called a dragon.
Is that what a dragon is? Is this your like
an elephant with wings?
Is this your like opinion as a zookeeper? Is that the one?
Yes, my official opinion. I do wonder though, because I think EDG are gonna want to clear some of this vision out. I think that's something I've really liked from WE so far this game is their vision control has really been on point across the river spans, and right now they're looking to get this mid or outer to potentially snowball into that objective.
How have WE run from top side to bot side to mid lane, getting towers in every lane without a good contest? EDG have been massacred when it comes to the big objectives across the map. There is a dragon spawning. It's not even soul point though from the side of EDG. What do you do now against such a fed Tristana? There's a little bit of poke coming out, and that is going to tick up over time. He has a Vamp Scepter though, so it's not even like that's going to be the absolute killer blow.
All right, Crine does end up taking the outer tower and top side. They were trying to get a push by Wayward on the tier 2 and bottom side. Xiang is just going to take this one down. It'll be second dragon secured by Team WE here.
Yeah, and EDG, they do take themselves top lane outer turrets. They finally get themselves a response to what's happening with WE across the map, but it feels just so little in response to it. And you know, I think this is a good time to talk about how so just before you came in at the start of the day, I was talking about how WE, they're facing a bit of a Ship of Theseus kind of problem now, where you have this boat, you keep replacing each of the planks of the wood, and you keep replacing bits of the ship. after how long does it remain the same ship? Because if WE replaced they replaced LP or rather they replaced Stay and Iwandi from Spring, and they brought in LP and then Mark. Well, then they put in Abel, and now they put in Yangxian in the jungle. That's 3 out of the 5 pieces removed. And yet still, in this game, we are still seeing a lot of how WE play the game. I wonder how much of this is just about how their solo laners play. Wayward is currently caught out, though, so speaking of that, he might just die for free.
He's going to get the flash. Quickness. Locking him down. There you go. The point I'll have to say is those pieces, they might have worked at one time, though, and they were taken off and shipped other places. Because you think of like the talent that has come that WE have tried to develop through their system that have brought up from the LDL squads, and now obviously a changing of the guard in that kind of regard. But you think back to Shanks and the likes of that, and kind of the moments of brightness we saw. I mean, Shanks was with the team for 3 years, and I think we saw a ton of growth from him a lot of the time, but not able to rise above to the next level. And WE wanted to make some changes.
It's been a long time since WE have been. Okay, I don't want to sound too harsh. It's been a while since that W have been kind of relevant towards the top end of the table.
Since they've been World Elite?
Okay, not quite that long. They were still pretty good in like season 5, 6. When was
It's a double entendre, okay?
Okay, all right. Oh wait, no, that okay. Look, okay, it's still kind of early for me. It's earlier for you. Wait, hang on. No. It's not even that early for me. It's like 12:30 now. I'm just a late riser, I guess, all the same. But yeah, WE, they have had a revolving door of a roster now for a little while. We're even going to see 2 of the carries they had on the roster on anyone's Legend later today, because we have Shanks and Hope, who were on WE last year. They'll be playing later. The fact that WE have made so many aggressive changes to their roster, just continually changing out pieces in the hopes of finding something special, it's really risky. I have to say, I'm not a huge fan. I felt like in Springer you should have kept Iwandi or whatever, but, you know, at least they found something now.
It's funny you say that, because I feel like I've heard that story before. I feel like there's been another team that's had a lot of changes. I feel like it's a team that's maybe called EDG.
That's a really good point.
It's actually two organizations that have done massive changes to what was some developing rosters they've been sticking with for a long time. Now we see Wayward fighting his way out of a 2v2 now. That Fofo comes in to join, and Solo Kill's in trouble now. They are going to get the lockdown on Solo Kill and give over the kill. No, the flash. Fofo wants to get it, though. Does not have the vision. One more auto attack. It's not enough. Oh, Cassante doing Cassante things.
I thought he'd given up all of his tech stats. He was in his all-out form. 100% should have died. WE, they do finally protect Wayward in the side lane. It does cost Fofo both of his summoners, so maybe that will slow down what WE want to do in the next few minutes. This Tristana is so fed all the same. He should be getting his 3rd item on the next back, which will be in time for the next dragon coming up in 1 minute 30. Of course, the next big fight, which happens now at this point, will probably lead to a Baron, and that's something which we need to be very careful of kind of watching how the game unfolds, because it feels like one Baron could potentially bring EDG way back into the game. They're the ones which are behind in turrets right now. If they get Baron, that would end up swinging the game massively back in their favor. WE.
Do it.
I mean, they're aware there's a Zyra on the other side, and the ward just disappeared. They do have to be careful.
Did they know? Listen to the Emperor. Okay, I was gonna see if maybe Xiang gets caught there with JJ looking for it. W are gonna reposition up towards this top side of the map, though, and again, EDG are kind of fine if W are the one first in place, because you have a lot of poke to be able to follow things up. They just want to make sure that they weren't doing the Baron, just in case. The thing is, though, we will have distraction across the map, though, in just a little bit. As Fofo completes his 3rd item, there's a dragon in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, he gets that Bloodthirster, which means that JJ, who was looking for poke onto Fofo before, won't be able to find it onto the Tristana nearly as easily. We'll have to put that onto, realistically, Yangxian at that point, because it's really hard to get it onto the lifesteal 80 carries from WE EDG. They do quickly go towards top side, making sure that if W were to go towards that dragon too quickly, then there was every chance that they go towards the plants on the Baron. It is that Zyra, and because there's so little engaged, you can just put down that ult and threaten the disengage should W try and go too hard onto them.
They're going to get caught trying to leave here, though. Cryin is completely away from the rest of his team. Lightning crashes from Abel, who's really the front line right now. It feels like Wayward throws up the emote as he gets locked down by the Stranglethorns. Nothing else there. A couple ultimates burned on the side of Team WE, as well as EDG.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like the Stranglethorns is really important for EDG. It's a huge disengage tool in a game with not that much engage, so it just gets to counter, you know, almost the entire composition. Problem is, EDG have now used that. It's going to leave it very open towards the Dragon. On the bot side, WE, it's not the cleanest play, but that they don't walk away with any particular losses. They take that Dragon for free. It is such a slow game.
It really is. Fofo just literally soloed the Dragon. That's just beyond hilarious to me. 3-item spike. Tristana does some nutty things, it feels like. But WE have used their comp pretty well. This is kind of an EDG comp that they were set up for success with. Got a lot of the pieces they were looking for. And WE just are out executing, at least early. The almost 3,000 gold lead in the middle individually is definitely helping that regard. And we see how much this Tristana has risen in priority and to benefit for a lot of mid laners in the LPL.
Tristana does everything. Has escapes, has scaling, has lane pressure, has tower destroying, can reposition in fights. I think Flicker Blades has also just been so powerful for this champion, because if you jump forwards and you just get to hit a minion wave, you get to jump backwards. You don't have that same lockout of like the 20-second cooldown of your W that Tristana, without something like the Navori Quick Blades or Flicker Blades, whichever version of it, had in the past. It makes it so powerful in a lot of these scenarios. Folks, most of this game is being determined by the fact that there is no engage. It's really hard to make those fights stick, which is why the Gings are slowing down. We are playing around side lanes. EDG, they do have some big items, particularly onto Cryon and Jit. Those are going to be really important to watch. I want to see also whether Leave also ends up going towards more of a pokey build. If he goes towards a Nash's, maybe he can join in on that front.
This has been a dicey section for EDG to walk out of every time in this little choke. WE are always threatening and engaged. They also have the Nature's Grasp available for Mark. That is really the kickoff button for WE. Some of that poke starting to come online.
It's the only button. They don't have anything else. It's literally just, that's the one thing that's going to happen. And the worst thing as well is that you have a McHale's on the side of Wink. You have one thing which you can engage, and it's going to get immediately nullified. I love this game. I love League of Legends. I love seeing nothing happen for forever. WE, they got really far ahead through side lanes, but it feels like even that stalled out. They're not pushing onto inner turrets at this point. Wayward was killed a couple of times in the side lanes, and oh boy, we're just waiting for one really big play.
It's the mind, isn't it? It's just you have to think of all the things that could possibly happen.
Oh wow, I'm waiting for my imaginary friend Leona, because they'll save us from this one. Leona Nautilus. Look, folks, I know so many people out there were really annoyed at the years of Leona Nautilus, and I do understand it was really boring for a little while, but they did at least make the game a lot faster place where you don't have to deal with bullcrap moments like this. So, once again, we just sat around a river, we just sat around wave clearing for forever, waiting for that first blow to be hit. We're just ping-ponging waves back and forth. I'm kind of surprised that WE haven't moved into one side of the jungle with force, but I guess it's hard because EDG can rush Baron so quickly with both the Kai'Sa and the Zyra, they can't leave top side alone ever. So they can't go towards bot side, but they can't go towards top side because the EDG are hovering over there so much as well, and they don't want to walk into like a 4-man grouped unit. So, I mean, yeah, it's just nullifying extreme. At least there are Bloodthirsters on the side of Fofo and Abel, so they can shrug off some of the damage. I really need to see them find an aggressive option, though, because this is going to be such a slow burnout game otherwise.
The Terminus was completed for Leave, so he has a little bit more tankiness on
Here we go.
his side of things. Oh,
it's not going to do anything.
Bye-bye, kitty.
Not like this.
All right, let's wait for how long is the ultimate cooldown?
It's too long. It's rank 1. Here goes Wink.
Oh, Wink has his turn. Oh, okay. Well, now Mark dies. At least they get one. That's big. They carve up the tree. And now EDG, they could threaten over to this top side of the map. Wayward is waiting in the bush, though. Angry Croc in the river is spotted out, though, and Leaf can chase him down. Yeah, look at this damage that Leaf is putting out now on the Kai'Sa. 004, but still 3 items does work.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit worried here for WE. EDG, they find a huge amount of damage there. That's Leaf going in!
Leave, that's bold, but he's got the Terminus. He's able to tank pretty heavily, but that explosive charge and the damage from Mazel gets him down. That was a bold one, friend, and Clear Love might have some words for you after that one. And it might involve a ruler as solo kill goes down to WE. Just completely dashed all of your doubts, Nymaera.
Abel is done with this. I'm so happy this player exists, and the bot lane revolving door comes up with a new entrance into Hotel WE. It is the aggressive AD carry. Abel flashes forwards, leave. He puts himself into an awful spot. Maybe have just jumped EDG to a 0-2.
And that is 2 games we've seen Leave have a couple rough spots to lend
It's
out the
just
game, and
over.
now Wink just goes down. WE, they will make their mark in their first series here in Group Nirvana. It is a 2-0 sweep over EDG.
Yeah, I think I said this the other day, but I think that EDG will want to.
Got a jersey for him.
They'll wanna like bleach this record of this game, because that was not it. That was really not it. Leave. He has had some game-losing moments for his team. I don't want to put it down to just him. I think that team composition is hard to play out, but I feel like EDG were just about to get the leg up on their opponents. I feel like they just got impatient towards the end, and it's really sad to see, because it felt like that game was largely in their, well, sliding towards them. Just get a little impatient, and they throw the game away. It's so sad to see.
Let's go. Yan Xiang gets his first win. First series.
And he had a good game. I mean, the brand was... Look, that was a hard game to play the brand in. Everyone's out of range of you. You don't really get to do that much. But still, the fact that Yangxian was playing in the style which W wanted to still. I don't think that W's style has changed that much, you know. They're still playing largely around getting gold from side lanes, looking for a big team fight engage later on, but they're waiting to see whether Fofo and Wayward can get their own individual side lane advantages and use that to roll over into a game. EDG, on the other side, look lost. I think Leave has really... I think Leave and Cryan are both struggling to the point where EDG cannot rely on them to teamfight effectively. That is a big issue. They are not putting out damage. They have some of the lowest DPMs in the entire league right now, and it's a huge issue. So EDG, they might be looking at not just, you know, sliding out of Group A. They had a good first round robin. They might be looking now at an early exit from this entire summer split.
I just think it's a really rough situation there, because we have seen some good moments from EDG, but